in previous videos, we've been putting together pieces of a puzzle. We want to take those pieces of this puzzle and to apply them in a way that allows us for a better performance in the real world today. Okay, so whilst we're only very early in this journey, from my perspective of what I could convey or teach, there's real application to be applied immediately that you understand a couple of the concepts, especially if you have a race coming up. So we've got our axis here, and along here we're thinking effort. Okay, now effort could be, you might want to measure that in watts, you might want to measure that in heart rate, you want to then break those down with thresholds and make them into zones. Okay, and we're thinking of distance, like races are distances. Okay, we have a few that are time, so they might be a 12-hour, 24-hour, but the majority are a distance. Okay, if yours is a time, just apply it to your time frame, 24 hours, 12 hours, 3 days, whatever it happens to be. Okay, so we're thinking about our engine size, and we're thinking, okay, if I had to ride this course and I had all the time in the world and I could eat as much as I like, and I'm not looking for a time, I'm just looking for a completion, okay? And lots of people are just looking for a completion. We're thinking cruising speed, okay? So this is your cruising speed. And that really is, we can break down zones and whatever. We can talk about lactate threshold 1, lactate threshold 2, and we can talk about FTP, and we can talk about zone 2. But really, cruising speed is just an honest answer to the question. If I had to ride all day and I wasn't allowed to stop, and people were going to hand me food and drink to my hand as I rode past, what sort of pace am I really confident I could hold all day? And for some people in a mountain bike race, there might be walking a lot of the climbs or walking all of the climbs, okay? And that's your cruising speed. Like, I can keep this going indefinitely. I don't know when the race ends. There's no distance parameter or duration. This goes on forever. I don't know when, what pace will I put in. Now, we've also got what we're calling top speed, okay? And really, if we've been doing training, we've already got this designated for us. It's whatever we're calling FTP if we're working on power, it's whatever we're calling threshold if we're working on heart rate, and so on and so forth. Top speed really isn't something we want to be sat at for any amount of time in a race longer than our current test duration that we've decided designates that. So if we're doing a 20-minute test and we're removing 5% from it, as many people would do with an FTP score, we really don't want to be at top speed for more than a fraction of that test duration for any one time. We do not want to be sat at what we think is our 20-minute FTP for the first 20 minutes of the race. Likewise, if we're using an hour figure, we don't want to be sat there for an hour, okay? Because the game is over. And if our race is 4 hours long, or 8 hours long, or 12 hours long, and we've spent the first hour at top speed, cruising speed has been damaged. Okay, it's now lower. These do not remain static as we become fatigued. Okay, so your FTP is functional. Okay, so if it's functional and we damage our function, our FTP comes down, and all the zones below it go down. Okay, so we're thinking of applying this knowledge to our race. Okay, I don't want to set off and spend a significant amount of time at my top speed. So your ideal is to stay somewhere closer to this than this, okay? If the idea is to set the best time you can. And all the research shows negative splits and flat pacing and whatever produce the best overall time for somebody. They might not make it to the first checkpoint as fast as everybody else, but they make it to the end. Now, if we apply Matchbox theory to this, we might find that we've got to burn certain matches of certain sizes over top speed to get to the top of each climb or through a technical section, say if it's mountain biking. Okay, so we know that we've got these things coming up. So we're looking at the course ahead of time. And most courses these days have some sort of GPX file, or you've got a previous ride on Strava. You can look up the date previously, or find a course, find a com that's on that course on Strava, and you can find people who rode it before. So you can get their GPX file, and you can go, there's a hill there, there's a hill there, there's a hill there, there's a difficult section here. You can look at where people produce power and so on and so forth. And what you're looking to do is, okay, if I know there's these 4 coming up, and I've only got enough matches in my Matchbox to get those done, say, I don't want to set off at the start and burn a match that big, okay? And this comes back to my first video about pacing, which is the pro's going to start off at this speed, and that's the speed or the effort that the pro's doing. I don't want to join him, okay? I might put in a little start and then drop straight down, knowing that I've got to burn this match here. Now, as soon as I come off this match, I want to get right back down to here if I can, because I need to recover some energy before there, and I don't want to burn these matches staying up here. Okay, so to apply your Matchbox theory, you're really thinking, okay, what is coming up, okay, on my course? Where are the problem things, and where can I build in recovery? And building in recovery means that you don't sit here, you sit closer to here, or you might even do that, you reverse peak and you recover. So with some courses, there's big flat sections on a cycle track, for instance, and a lot of people get on there, get their heads down. Well, it actually gives you a really good opportunity to recover some of this energy, put more energy in because you can feed, it's not technical and so on. So really, if it looks like you can get your head down and you can go hard, you probably don't want to, especially if the course is long and it requires a cruising or a top speed higher than your matches are going to be to clear it clean. Okay, so we've got this practical application. The reason we want to do this is because we've got a Matchbox, we've got a cruising speed, we've got a top speed, and we can dampen our Matchbox. Okay, so to explain that, I know that I have got 100 of these efforts in me, 10 of these efforts, 50 of these efforts, or whatever. I've done it in training. Okay, I've done an interval session and it proves I can do 20 efforts or 10 efforts that are of significant power for a significant duration to help me ride in this course. Now, I've probably done that with all the bits in between being recovery. Okay, and as we know, FTP is functional. If I were to do that training session, where all these bits between were sweet spot, okay, would the peak be this big? Probably not. You know, they would probably fade and get smaller and smaller, and that's dampening your Matchbox. Okay, so when you apply your Matchbox to a race, if you start off at threshold, and then you end up at sweet spot, and then you end up as tempo, you're dampening your Matchbox the whole time. So it's just as important in any course to be looking for recovery. Looking for recovery is way more important. Trying to, you know, when I always say to people I coach, don't look for the misery, it's going to find you. And what I mean by that is you are going to get fatigued. There is deciding points in every single race where somebody has burnt more matches or run out of energy, missed the feed, whatever. It's a war of attrition and it's last man standing. And so you don't want to be always pushing on. With a race, you want to be looking for all the places you can dull it back down. Can I get away with not pedaling through this section? What are the implications of this? Do I need to hit this downhill really fast? So downhills in a long endurance race are all about recovery. When I did the Margie last year in the 50, a lot of the downhills, people were right up behind me, trying to get past, sprinting past me. And all that's going to happen is I'm going to pass them 2 climbs later. Because you can't ride a race like that attacking the descents. You can attack the descents in a flowy style and reserve energy and not use the brakes so much. But you don't want to be sprinting out of all the corners into the next descent. Okay, so it's understanding a Matchbox, understanding cruising speed, top speed, and then applying them to your race.